Hey, this is Christine. Welcome back to the channels, my friend. If you're returning, thank you. If you are new, welcome. This is Fall Craft Your Stash Challenge. I'll have more on that in a bit. But in this video, I'm showing you pumpkin DIY inspiration. Some will be new, others will be from recent DIYs that I pulled into this one. So without further ado, we are starting now. So here I'm just showing you some pumpkins that I will be decoupaging. So here I'm just pulling the top sunflower from this one, and I'm using my heat gun to help me a little bit because it was glued on so tightly. These are the napkins that I'll be using, or at least some of them. I won't be using all. I will also be using a little fabric as well as ribbons. I painted the two large pumpkins with folk art chalk paint in almond latte and Waverly chalk paint in pool. And then I sat those aside to dry. We're going to work on the two smaller pumpkins. I pulled out the stems and sat those aside. Then we're going to take one panel from this beautiful napkin that I got from my friend Mary over at Craft Away with May. Thank you so much, girl. I am still using these napkins. So once I cut that off, I then cut it down further into smaller strips and then remove the back layer. And this is how I'm going to be putting those on. So now I'm going to use a little Mod Podge and glue on or layer on each panel, and one panel of napkin is covering maybe two or sometimes 1.5 peg of those pumpkins. Now I know those little pegs or grooves have a name, but we're gonna just work with pegs for now, okay? I may not have mentioned, but I also painted the two small pumpkins because you need a base coat on your surface, and that base coat would always be white. And the cream wasn't looking all that well under the napkin. So now that I did that first one, this is what it looks like. I'm sorry guys, I did that big pumpkin just the same like I did the small one, but for some reason I didn't film that one. I cut a smaller piece of the napkin in a circle or a round shape, and I'm use that to put at the bottom of the pumpkin, and that would form the base. That would also just cover up where the napkins crisscross. And then since I'm done with this, I'll just replace the stem and set that aside. Now for the other small pumpkin, I'm going to use fabric here. So I cut my piece of fabric and I am going to glue that on in sections, and wherever it was too short, I would kind of pull it over so that we have enough coverage, just like you see me doing here. And as I pull over, I would just tack that down and just make sure that all the surface underneath was covered. And then once I got to the top, I just kind of scrunched that up in a little point, and then use some jute cord to go all the way around. I wrapped it first, tied it, and then just started going all the way until I got to the very top. And that is going to be my peduncle or my pumpkin stem. Either will work. Whichever you want to use will work. That's just fine. But we're going to say peduncle here. So once I got to the very top, covered all the fabric, making sure that I'm using a little hot glue here and there, and then I just cut off the jute, and our little peduncle is complete. Now in the beginning where I showed you the blue paint that I painted the pumpkin in, I changed my mind midway and decided to use the ribbon. So using the blue paint in the beginning was not necessary. But you know, as a crafter, you change your mind as you're going along midway the process. This was one such case. So I had these pieces of ribbons that were from my ribbon fail a few videos ago. I don't toss anything, so I'm just reusing them here. I cut off the edges just to smooth them up, and now I'm just gluing them on in different places. And I started at the top, kind of fold in the end so I have like a point, and then just glued on make sure that wherever the glue is going to be, or wherever the end of the ribbon is going to be, you have sufficient glue there. And then you would take your next ribbon and you would glue that one and make sure that the edges are covering each other. And I basically just continued the process until I was done. So now I'm going to be doing this one, this little pumpkin here. I didn't paint this one. I'm going to use this rub-on transfer, and I'm only cutting off the little fern from this transfer, and that is what I will be transferring onto my little pumpkin here. Now this one was just as is, no paint, nothing. So I'll just be transferring or rub-on transfers here, and I will go all the way around, just arbitrarily transferring or rubbing on until it was done. And just a little note here, I love these rub-on transfers. These are from the Dollar Tree, but you have to make sure that when you are transferring, you are putting it where you want it to be, because if you put it and then try to lift it, that's gonna be it. So we're all done. Isn't this cute? I love it, love it. So then I just took a little Mod Podge on a small paintbrush, and I'm just going over the surface of the pumpkin to make sure that I'm protecting the transfer and it's not scratching up. And then after I did that, I just set that aside to dry. Now I'm back to my ribbon pumpkin, just like I did for the smaller pumpkin, the little blue one. I'm just cutting a round piece here, and I'm gonna glue that down at the bottom. I flipped it over, and this is gonna be our top. So now, because I covered the hole, I'm using my little handheld drill here, and I'm just opening or reopening the hole. I wanted to use a piece of stick from outside, but it was raining, so I just took a piece of dowel and cut that down into 3 pieces, stained it with some antique wax, and here I am just gluing that into the hole that I had opened. Next, and for further embellishment, I just cut down some maple leaves that I had, blue, yellow, trimmed those down and glued them at the base of the peduncle. And then I took a piece of wired jute that I had. This one was falling apart, so I decided to just remove the wire altogether and use the wire only. And then I added some berries, and this one is done. Now about the playlist, this is Craft Your Stash, and this month it is Anything Fall. This playlist is hosted by Tasha from Sunflower Tasha DIYs, Joanna from Joanna's DIY Life, and this month guest host is Tawanda from Tawanda's Blessed Life. Now links to their channels will be down below in the description box, as well as the playlist. Make sure to check them out when you get done watching this video. Now the ribbon pumpkin is all done, and it's looking so cute. I basically did the same thing for the decoupaged larger pumpkin, and also added some berries. Now I did not want to cut any of this out, so I'll just let you watch to see how I finish these, and just listen to some music, and I'll get back at the end when these are all done. Whew. We're finally here at the end of our pumpkin palooza, guys. I love these. Love, love, love these. Let me know which one of these was your favorite. I absolutely love all of them. So now let's jump into our next DIY. The rest of the projects following this one are projects that I did in the past, and I placed these here so you can have a look at them. I did this truck, I think it's last year or the year before. I will link that at the top so you see how I created it in the beginning. But the top broke, so I'm just replacing that. So I cut a piece of cardstock, and here I'm just trying to form it in a way where it's easy to glue it onto the body of the truck. Here I cut a small piece of foam board and I'm just painting that black. I did not have any black, so I only had white. I painted that black, and then I'm going to glue that in the front section where the two form pieces of the truck meet, or just to keep the two, just to balance or anchor the two pieces of the two side pieces of the truck. And then I am now going to glue on the top piece, and I use the hot glue that all the way around. Next, I took 4 bottle caps and painted those white, and these fitted perfectly inside the space on the wheels. So I just added a little hot glue to them and just glued them in. And then to give them like the wheel some form of design to make it look like a wheel, I took the black paint pen and just kind of made some swirl on the inside of the wheel where the bottle caps are. And that completes my wheels. Next, I took the gold marker and I added headlights and the fender, and also drew in the windscreen and windscreen wiper because it needs to look like a truck, right? There it is. And then added some pumpkins, and to keep them from falling out, I just added a dab of hot glue and glued them in. Next, I cut these little thumbnails from the back of the calendar. Guys, these can also be used in your projects, so don't throw them out. They come in very handy. So I cut these 2 out and I'm just trimming them down. I'm gonna place 1 on either side. So if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and give the video a like for me. It sure does help the growth of my channel. Our truck full of pumpkin is done, and you will see more of this in the final reveal. Now I had this piece of scrap wood that I got from Home Depot. I just cut that down into 3 equal pieces, 7 inches, and then I applied some hot glue to 2 of the sides on one, and then glued the other one on top of it and allowed that to dry. Now after that was dried, I'm taking this piece of stir stick and I'm just gonna glue that onto the bottom of it. No rhyme or reason as to how you want that. I'm just adding this as the stand. Then I went in with some white paint. I gave that 2 coats and allowed that to dry. This piece of stick, I just picked this up from the outside and then I cut that down to give me stems. So I cut them down and then sand down the edges and glued them on with both hot glue as well as some wood glue. And when that was dry, I went in with some brown paint just to paint the top of the pumpkin and then dry brush the sides of it. Now, what you did not see me do here is add that pumpkin to the middle one. I lost the footage for that, but what I did, I just cut a circle from the same buffalo check paper and add some twine to give me a pumpkin and pasted a piece of the stem on top of that. And I am just gonna paint on the word gather. So I did 3 letters on one side and then the other 3 on the other side, and used my heat gun to dry that. I am then going in with the orange paint to write the word let's, and this is what we have, let's gather. Now I had this raffia twine and I'm just gonna wrap 3 pieces around the stems, 3 bows, and I just went in afterwards with some Mod Podge. Here we are done. Fall wall sign using this sign from the Dollar Tree. I had originally scraped off the glitter, so now I'm just adding a coat or maybe 2 coats of white acrylic paint. And here we have, I'm just gonna go in now and add some lines, and that is just to give it a shiplap look. So I'm scoring it with a pencil and then I'm sanding it down. And after I sanded it down, I just dusted it off. And then I'm going in with some Waverly Brown paint, using a thin paintbrush to just paint over those lines. So after I did that and it was dried, now I'm going in with some pressed flowers. Got a bouquet of flowers and it was so colorful I decided to press the flowers. So I am now cutting the word fall from this poster stickers that I got from the Dollar Tree. I am only going to be using the outer part of the letters as stencils. Only had one L, so I had to modify and reuse the same L. When I was done, pasted that on, I'm going in with some orange paint with this Dapper, and you want to make sure that you're painting that the paint is going on the inside, because if you go on the outside then you will have to touch that up with the white paint. Guys, let me know down below if you are all decorated for fall, and don't forget to check out the host channels and the playlist. Now this is a flower press that I got from the 79-cent store. I just love going into that store. So I had pressed the flowers. This one was pressed with the press, and the others I pressed using a huge book. So what I did, I just applied some Mod Podge and then place the flower on top of it, and then go in again with Mod Podge to seal that. Now as you can see, the flowers that were pressed with the book lost some of their petals as well as their vibrancy, but I decided to use them nevertheless. So this is what we have after I did all of that. So now I'm going in, I'm just going to add some embellishment. I'm using this fall pick from the Dollar Tree. You can feel free to use whatever design, whatever flowers you have, whether you want to use the flowers or just ribbons or bows or anything you can find. You can decide on how you want to do that. For the hanging, I just added some beads to a piece of jute twine, tied it at the front, flipped it over and added some hot glue just to keep that in place. And then I thought to myself, this needs something else. So some buffalo gingham ribbon, which I got from Amazon. The roll is 50 yards. I will leave a link of that in the description below. If you're interested, you can check that out. And I just made 2 bows and glued them on, and here we have this. I'll be using the large paint stirrers. I got those from Lowe's, and I cut those down to 7 inches and then sanded them down. I am now just using this L square just to make sure that they are level. And then I went in with some wood glue as well as hot glue to glue the pieces together. I then took 2 small paint stirrers, added some wood glue and hot glue, and glued those to the back and used some clamps to hold those in place. Then I used some golden pecan stain. I stained the front as well as the back, lightly staining. I am taking this sheet of buffalo check. I just printed that from the internet. And I'm selecting the word fall. I only had 1 L, so I made another L using cardboard. And then I flipped the paper over and I'm going to glue the letters on. Cutting the paper and gluing it, folding it over, that is optional. You can cut off the excess and just leave it as is, or you can fold them over if you like. Then when the wood was dry, I went in with some Mod Podge again and applied that to it. I'm going to be using some fall pick from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just arbitrarily just gluing this down. You can decide however you want to put this on, whether you want to add more or less. I am just using what I have with the branches, the maple leaves, the sunflower, and again gluing down the word fall. Now I thought that this needed a little bit more sprucing up, so I went in and added buffalo check to the top of the letters and then glued a piece of the ribbon at the back for hanging, and this is done. I just think this is absolutely beautiful. Our scripture for today is Proverbs 22 verses 1 and 2. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Rich and poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. Amen. Crafted my stash today. I hope you can find items in your stash that you can craft for fall. There are tons of inspiration on this playlist, so I hope you will find something on here. Be sure to watch all of the videos and the host channels as well. Let me know down below which one of these was your favorite today. I absolutely love my little pumpkins. They are so cute. But let me know which one was yours, my friend. I will have what would you make for you on Sunday. I also have another video on Tuesday. If you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a good time to do so and to turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. And that faith sign decor that you see there, I actually had planned to include it in this video, but for some reason I forgot. Also the pumpkin top here. And there you have it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed crafting with you today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more creative projects like these. And tap that notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. Need more inspiration? Click right here for other fun DIYs. Happy crafting, stay safe, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!